I got married 17 days ago, and we're already deciding to call it quits. Um, I was out of town working. I told her when I was coming home, and I came home, and there was another car in the driveway.
All right, guys, this is Old School Will. I'm back again with my buddy old Mo here. He strong armed me and said, "Hey, we need to get back. We need to do another topic right quick." So I don't know what he's going to talk about. So it's a surprise to me too. So once Mo gets started, he kind of throws it back my way and then get me to start talking. And next thing you know, we're all bringing back all them old memories of days gone by. So Mo, it's yours. Go ahead. Let's do it.
Thank you, Will. Like I said, it's Will, and then Mortuary Pit Talks. We were talking off camera, and he hit a point to where it was emotional, uh, very heartfelt, and being a husband. And he was telling me a story when he was in the military, if you don't mind me saying,
No, go right ahead.
and seeing one of his best friends in the house when his wife was there. And I think you said your father took you home, correct?
My stepfather.
Stepfather.
Yeah.
And correct.
Well, let me just add a little bit to that. I had it prearranged to where he picked me up at the bus station, and I didn't feel right about what was going on, so I had him pick me up and take me home, and Mo can take it from here.
The intuition, I want to thank you, Will. The intuition of women, just you don't have just intuition. We do too.
Hmm.
And such a basis to where it almost brought tears to my eyes because, like I said, when your daughter said you and her lives are so much parallel, it's immense. It's powerful because you having a friend. I thought I had a friend. And one thing you want to do is protect your house as a man, as a husband. And I remember my ex-wife, and again, it's not being facetious, it's not being to tear her apart, but it's just speaking on it of the truth. Is I remember coming home also, and I used to have a friend to where you got to watch your marriage. I used to tell my friend like, "Man, this woman's tripping and doing this and doing that." I didn't cheat on my wife, and I don't make this so authentic. I didn't cheat until the end. That doesn't make it right.
Hmm.
Um, I love my kids so much. I want them to grow up opposite of what I've grown up from and learned. That I put myself as I'm supposed to, as we supposed to, as men, put in our household first. Now, not every guy's like that. We're not the epitome of all guys, but the guys who out there who believe in family and God. When you told me the story of how you came home and your friend was there and he was helping your wife and he didn't tell you and she didn't tell you, brought back a memory of mine and where I had a guy, and it's funny that people, no pun intended, they say the plumber took your wife or the plumber had your wife.
Right.
Mine looked like that, and they were Jehovah's Witnesses, and I remember my wife wanted me to be religion to where I respected their family, how oriented they were around their family. Me speaking of brother is that my wife slept with quote unquote, I can't call him a best friend now, but he was a friend associate and a friend of me. A friend of me is a friend who consider an enemy. An enemy who portray themselves in sheepfolds as a friend. When you told me you came home and you knew who she was and you had that intuition, I remember working 10 to maybe 6 to 14 hours a day, coming home working, and my ex-wife used to call me and find out when I was coming home. And I'm expressing to quote unquote my best friend the things that, man, I'm trying but I can't please her. I'm trying but I can't make her happy. Not knowing he was sleeping with my ex-wife. Am I wrong for nutting up? Yes or no? I got on her tail and I'm not proud of it. I'm gonna be raw about this. I never abused her. She can say whatever she wants to say. I did snatch her up. I grabbed her because I was hurt as a man. You women need to understand that. Sometimes you can step on a rabbit's tail and a rabbit will bite you with those two front teeth.
Hmm.
It brings tears to my eyes to understand that because here it is somebody I trusted in as one of my best friends. Somebody I confided into and my woman who I trusted the most to hold my house down. To when I got home and I'm a contractor. I came home and my neighbors told me, say, yeah, you had a red van out in your neighbor, your yard for a while. And I'm like, what red van? Because my office was in my garage, brother.
Mm-hmm.
I built commercial to residential. Came home and I said, what do you mean? What nobody here? Because when my guys finished early, I used to pay them a bonus when finishing the job. Not knowing my wife was calling me, finding out what time I'm coming home. So she had enough time. So like you said you were in the military, and I'm gonna let you tell that story too, and you had to come home. I was working and had to come home and find out my best friend was laying down with my wife.
Hmm.
More devastating as men, as any man, no matter what color he is, we know how to react with physical. We're hurt. Here it is, we're sharing our blood, sweat, and tears, protecting, especially the ones if you ain't cheating. That's
Right.
a big
Right.
that is a big difference. If you're really not cheating, it makes you act up more of a nutcase.
Right.
Doesn't right, but it makes you act up as a nutcase. I came home, my neighbors told me one neighbor told me from Germany, Joe, told me he was at my house for an hour and a half. My other friend Will told me he was at home for about 45, 40 minutes. This brother came, I ain't gonna say brother, this guy came to me. I paid him a bonus. We was at Chili's. He never told me he was at my house. He never told me my wife was crying on his shoulders. There's no perfect marriage, there's no perfect wife, there's no perfect husband. There's no perfect man, there's no perfect woman. And when you told me that, it brought, like your daughter said, well, we're so parallel, it's scary, it's good. But this guy never told me he was at my house and said, hey man, I went to your house, your office, your woman was crying on my shoulders. I came home, my neighbor told me, because I always told him, watch my house. That's what we miss about our neighbors, the
Right.
current neighbors.
Right. Right.
He said, man, you had a van at your burgundy van. I remember, red van.
Hmm.
He was at the house. And he told me so minimum, one said 47, 45 minutes, one said an hour and a half. Whatever was too much time. But when I met that guy, he never told me at the time, brother, if that may stain y'all well and put it in your head. He never told me he was at my house and my wife had a problem. Because truthfully, I didn't cheat on my wife at that time towards the end. Let's be real. Uh, I used to go to his house and stay the night when my house wasn't clean, the food wasn't cooked, the shovel wasn't snow. I shoveled the snow. And I used to confide in my homeboy. This is the problem where men and women share too much with their quote unquote friends or
Right.
women.
There you go. Mm-hmm.
She act like she hated him. She act like she hated him, Will.
Mm-hmm. I know why. Mm-hmm.
Not knowing when I got home he was laying it down. And I acted up. I got on him, I got on her, I got on him more physically than I did her. It tore my family apart. It broke my kids, my family apart. Whether this woman admit this or not, that's between her and God. That's all I gotta say. It tore me apart. And what you women don't understand is that I'm not condoning infidelity. I'm not condoning cheating. But when a man cheats, unfortunately, and you can have your difference. I'm just trying to tell you, some of you sisters will understand. When men cheat, we're stupid. Sometimes it be just for sport. Sometimes it be for selfishness on what we're not getting at home. When women cheat, she becomes emotionally attached. Unless she's a hoe, she
Mm-hmm.
becomes attached first and then sleep with that man. That's what y'all got on us better than y'all got better than us. It don't have to be emotional. It could be some selfish bullcrap that we can be just selfish and greedy. And we'll sleep with every woman because of greed. Y'all can sleep because of emotion. Mine slept with the other dude who knows for whatever reason she knows and God knows. And gave it to him. But what that guy had on me is that he infiltrated my household
Right.
through my woman. And from that point on, where I say that the difference is two women can't love two men at the same time. It's just like serving God, as God says, you're going to despise one and love the other when it comes to money.
Amen.
And mine started despising me and loving the other. Not because, I'm going to be real, Will, not because if his penis was bigger than mine, I'm not worried about that. Hers was because the tickle of the ear. He was telling her the same thing I was telling her back when I first met her. But it became new in the mid-strive of our wedding, our marriage. So he was able to infiltrate our household and tore apart our kids. So when you told me that story, it touched my heart and touched who I was because they don't know what we go through and we know how men operate. Just like women can't say that we can't tell women how other women operate. And I didn't mean to take this over, but I had to express this when you told me this when we got back off camera from what we just did because that's the part my kids don't understand. That right there is it's detrimental. It's to the point where it can mentally destroy you. You working hard, you busting your tail, and here it is, you confined to your homeboy. Now that I've learned you shitting on everything,
Mm-hmm.
and he can come in and destroy your house.
Mm-hmm.
If you think I'm wrong, just women who believe in the Bible, why don't you look this up? We can share the scriptures, though, because trust me, I know the scriptures. But when you told me this, Will, this hit, and I said, we got to get back on camera and talk about this. And I don't mean to take it over, but I'm going to let you get.
No, you're right on point, but I told you folks out there that old Will and old Mo that was gonna be 100 with you, whatever that means. I just heard somebody say that, so just throwing it out there. But we're gonna be for real with you. I was telling Mo off camera, as he spoke a little bit earlier, a lot of times in our younger days when we were first started off in life, and not in life, but in marriage, and we try to do things the proper way, although marriage is like, I think I used that analogy in one of my other podcasts, buying a new car with an owner's manual. You try to learn about the car. Marriage is the same way. You don't know anything about it, so you just kind of wiggling your way through it. But I told Mo, and I didn't realize it was going to touch him as hard as it did. We try to shield our kids. Even to our last day on earth, we try to shield our kids. But somehow or another, Mo has a tendency of waking me up on the inside, and he did a pretty good job of this one because I told him the story about when my first marriage and our first home, first child, and I had gotten drafted and had to Fort Polk, Louisiana. I couldn't remember the place I was, but it was Fort Polk, Louisiana, and I told him a story about. Best friend of mine. And in high school, we were best friends. We did almost everything together, from working in metal shop and wood shop, and hung out together and all that other good stuff. But when I got drafted. It was right after I bought my first home and my first son was born. I can't believe I'm telling this story on camera. I really can't. But after I got drafted and I was a few weeks into basic training, and I just kind of had a suspicion that things weren't right. So I had contacted my stepfather via, I can't remember if it was mail or if I called him. And I told him I was kind of suspicious of something, and would he pick me up at the bus station because I was, coming home. So he picked me up, and he had no idea what was going on. So when we got to my house, there was a vehicle parked there. Wasn't my vehicle. So me still having the keys to my house, I just opened up the front door, and I'm remembering this just like it was yesterday. When I walked into my house, my best friend, who I was go to battle with, was sitting on my couch. And back in the day, we had leisure suits, a three-piece leisure suit. If any of you old guys know what that is. And he was sitting there, and he was shocked when he saw me open up the door and walk in. And I remember my wife at that time. I guess she was in one of the bedrooms in the back taking care of our son. And then she walked out and she was just totally shocked. And my stepfather was standing right behind me. And you could tell he was shocked. He had no idea that what was going on. Neither did I. And I remember my exact words when I saw my best friend sitting on my couch without my knowledge of being in the military or in basic training for at least, I think it was 4 or 5 weeks, because anybody been in basic training, you know that you don't have privileges to come home or anything like that until you finish your 8 weeks. Unless you get out on, I call it, unless you get leave on good behavior. That's what I used to call it. And I was fortunate enough to get that. And I remember my exact words when I saw him sitting there. I'm not going to call his name out because I don't see any, it's not relevant now. It's decades ago. I remember telling him, the best thing you could do right now is walk out that door and leave. Because here it is, I'm in basic training, learning hand-to-hand combat and all this other good stuff, fresh in basic training. And I thank the Lord for giving me the strength to do what I did not do. Even to this day, I thank him for that, because my entire life would have changed. But needless to say, after all that was said and done, that I had to live with day in and day out. And I'm gonna tell you something. Nothing could have happened. Nothing could not have happened at all. Period. But it was the fact of my best friend being in my house, which evidently was allowed by my wife at that time, to come into my house knowing that I was in basic training, which was wrong within itself, was wrong. There's no excuse for this whatsoever. But trying to make the marriage last, my second child, which was brought about because of me, because I wanted to have a second child, and that was 4 years later. Thankful for that. Thankful for God giving me the decision to do that. But remember, after all this time, all of this was still in my mind. Never left. Even today, it's still there. And it disrupted my entire life. From that moment, my entire life was disrupted. The decisions I should have made, I didn't make, because I should have made the right decisions. right off the bat. But I thank God that I didn't. I thank God that I hung around for another 4 years, because if not, I wouldn't. My life wouldn't be as positive as it is now with my daughter. But
Question:
go ahead. I'm sorry. Go ahead. Go ahead.
Was it hard for you at the time, being a father, to implement yourself in that child's life with the deterrents or the obstacles that you had with the baby's mom at the time?
It took every ounce of strength that I had within me to try to make this right. Because, being a young father, and I'm talking about at the latter part of your teenage days, it took a lot of strength to try to make those right decisions. And as I said, that couldn't have been nothing to happen in that household at the time I walked in the door. But it brought into question, I'm gone 4 weeks, how many times did this happen? How many nights have my best friend possibly been over at my house without me knowing it? It brought in tons and tons of different questions, which there were never any answers to. But the Lord gave me the strength to try to make it work. And remember, never cheated. Never even thought about cheating. Trying to raise a family, trying to do the right things. And when you got drafted in my days, it's not like you had a choice. I'm one of the last of the draftees. It's not like I went down there and volunteered. If you don't show up, they'll throw you in jail anyway. So
Right.
there wasn't any choice there. Had a well established, nice job, working at a steel company prior to all of this, and my entire life was upended by that draft notice. But needless to say, that turned me off as far as what I call friends. I call them acquaintances, and I just never looked at individuals after that point the same, like any normal person probably would. But you ladies out there need to understand something. You might think it's fine and dandy and all that other good stuff, but not realizing the impact of the decision you made would have on the rest of your future. And as I said, right now, I'm 73 years old, and I still linger with what occurred back then. But
I want to give you credit because I might as well handle different, and I want to be raw with this. Um, Mine is me trusting in my friend and my wife, putting him before God, and I learned the hard way. Like I said, she took upon wanting to study a religion of Jehovah's Witnesses and me looking into it. What I did appreciate about that religion at the time, because I said grew up Baptist and Islam, is that the family orientation. But that's another story that you and I are definitely going to get deep on.
mm-hmm.
Uh, I nutted up. I confide in so much. I was hurt so much to where I let a friend have so much information on my spouse, the way they operated, and she acted like she hated him so much. My kids don't know this. I kept it away from them for so long, and took the hit, and they had a chance to wait. After our separation, my kids ran into him, and being young fool, they wanted to fight him when they ran into her in the bathroom. And my sister dropped him off. Uh, it hurt, and I consider you handled it better than I did. I let it up. I'm not. I'm not gonna say I regret it, but I'm not proud of it. The way I handled it because I wanted him out. I I I was hurting because I wanted to have a family of something the way I didn't grow up. Because me being knowledgeable at the time and reading books of what and in the knowledge of Islam at the point where what a family's supposed to be like in a black family, in a black culture community, I had to learn differently. Um, to get a brother who you trust and you think that you have his life on your line and your life on his line to where y'all will back one another up was a betrayal. And I didn't trust nobody. I didn't trust women. I didn't trust men at this point in time, even up till close to today. And it's still there, but it's just that at the point where my pain never resided on a point where I can trust anyone. My kids caught him and her in the bathroom.
Hmm.
You know,
Hmm.
I don't think my kids ever forgot about that, but it was a point where, and still, you had to be taught to be a man to swallow a pill and take the hit and abuse on as if you're not a good husband and a good father. If my kids ever see this one day, hopefully they understand. It's not the bad your mom or bad. It happened the way it happened. I can't take nothing away from that. Let God speak the truth and show the truth of what has been shown and done. Um, when you spoke on this, it hit home because it was like I remember sleeping on his brother's what is it dining room floor because I said, man, my house is not on point. What's going on? Not knowing that he was talking to my wife at the same time.
Hmm.
That the kids don't understand when there's a father, you gotta back down to keep your sanity and not be locked up in a 6x6 or a 4x6 cell on what another parent has done. So you gotta back yourself away to where they don't understand. It's not that you never stopped loving them. It's just that the love that you have for them was a weapon for the opposite person.
That's right.
I'm so glad we got into this conversation right after the camera because it was like people don't understand. Like we don't have this country. We barely have Africa.
Hmm.
The only thing we have is our seed and what we let loose. That's the only land that we can claim is our seed that came upon these children. And that land of our children, the foundation, is not don't have no solidity because who we have babies with, whether it's female or male, and I'm giving them so they can understand. You know, if a child would don't have the best interest of that child in the overall vision. I want to thank you for expressing that and sharing that with me because that's my pain still to today that I can't get over. I don't make it a depression. It's sad. I have to make my heart callous to the point to where I can't let her utilize that against me.
Right.
And my kids are the casualty of war to where in this world the father is last. Don't let it be not just a father, but a black father. That's
Hmm.
last in the world.
Right. Right.
Not understood. I
But do
know it's
you?
a lot. Go
No,
ahead, please.
I was gonna say, but do you know the struggle throughout all those decades to try to make this right? But there was no making this right because, as you said, something about the planting the seed. Once that seed is planted in your mind, it starts to grow and continues to grow regardless. You can't wash it away out of your mind once you've already put it out there. It doesn't work like that. But you have to continue to ask the Lord to get you through it because He's the only one that can get you through it. That's why God said that even at my age. And I understand what Moses saying, but it does get better. I mean, He will make it better, but you got to listen to Him to understand how the betterness is coming along. But like I said, you're not going to ever forget. You can forgive, but you'll never forget. And that's the thing about it. And another thing, remember, this is just starting off in life. This is really starting off in a first relationship, starting off in a first marriage, and things turn south that quickly because of the judgment. I mean, because of yeah, it is a judgment of two people deciding to get over. But even while in basic training, the Lord put that thought in my head that something ain't right, and you need to see it. You need to find out. But I said all of that to say this: when it was found out, it reshaped the rest of my life.
Yeah.
And it pulled apart a lot of different entities. It really pulled apart. Although that person may not see anything they did wrong by having that person there. First of all, you know that's your husband's best friend. Secondly, even if he called and said, hey, can I come over? Should have said no. Not only no, but H no. No, it doesn't work like that. Third, you should have realized the devil is trying to intervene in this situation, and he did. He disrupted not generations but decades of memories with that other individual, and also it affected everybody, not only my children, but even my mom and my stepfather and brother and sister knew about it. And regardless of how you try to make it right, it will never, ever be right. And that's another thing. When I hear about all these ladies talking about a body count and all of that nonsense and all this stuff, y'all can forget about it. Because any man in his right mind will not deal with that, especially when they had to deal with something like this. So y'all might think it's fun and games right now, but like I said, y'all go out there and y'all start investing in these dogs and cats, because that's going to be your future if you start making decisions like that. Because it doesn't go away. It sticks with you until your last breath on this earth. It's not going to stick with you. But the casualties that Mo mentioned earlier, the casualties of the kids, they had no stake in this. They just wonder, well, what's going on between mom and dad. But the decisions you make as a married couple, that's going to affect you for the rest of your life. And if you don't want to get married, if you don't want to be married, don't get married. If you want to be a person of the streets and all that other good stuff, do that. Stop blaming men. Because good men is going to try to provide for that family. They're going to try to keep that family rolling straight forward. Men are not emotional. Men are straightforward. Women are the ones that are emotional. But the thing is, that's why I've always said, you can't have two alphas in the same family. God did not instill, create that to be two dominant people in the same family. That is not meant to be. Get away from all this nonsense that I'm hearing and all. That's why we're so screwed up. We're really screwed up, especially in the black culture, because like I said, y'all, I'm getting a headache just by thinking, rehashing and thinking about all this nonsense. But I'm glad I have a platform to kind of, and I'm not doing this to bash anybody. We all make mistakes. I make mistakes. My exes make mistakes and all that other nonsense. But time to wake up and stop making those mistakes and try to make it a teaching point. And that's what we are trying to do on this platform, make it a teaching point. This is what will destroy your life. Not only did it destroy it with me and my best friends, I don't have best friends anymore. Unfortunately, they could be the best person in the world, but that seed of friends has already been planted in their mind, and it's going to always be there. Always.
Yeah. Added to that, like I said, as fathers who have the best intentions, we never forget. Me, I keep like this right here. It says baby.
Right.
This is the images and the pictures I have of my children
Right.
at the younger. And it's not to feel sorry for me. It's the point to get you to understand that when you exclude the other parent, you're not just hurting them, you're hurting their children. And
Mm-hmm.
it's so powerful. Let me get you to think this, and I'm going to end it. The fathers who's not around, the kids desire. The fathers that are around, the kids want to inspire them.
Hmm.
because they feel that you didn't understand me.
Hmm.
Well, here it is. The kids that the father's not around, you yearn to have their approval. But the ones who sacrificed, their approval is not approved. Their hard work is not approved. That's how powerful y'all women are.
Hmm.
And I'm not taking it away nothing from what y'all women sleep with. You got to be careful when you have a child by. You
True.
have a rose, you can have a child by a thorn. And the deal is that if you see this man clubbing, pants sagging, doing all this bull crap, listen to him, see where his morals at. Be careful of, y'all know I said in my podcast, when you open your hot pocket up too. And you let them plant that seed in that hot pocket. Understand that your morals and their morals will be mixed with that child, whoever that child favors. I'm speaking this, and I want to think again, well, you have no idea for you. We're talking about this. I said, man, we gotta get this on camera. Whether that hurts or it's a rebuilding. Um, we need to build back one another. We need to understand one another. My kids, for me not to hurt every day, for y'all to get an understanding, I must detach my heart, but keep my mind from when you're ready to return. I'm gonna reiterate this. I must detach my heart and reiterate my mind
Right.
to when you're ready to return, to mend the heart, because the heart is not mended while you're hurt. The heart is mended while you're repairing it to become unhurt. Understand this. As a father, when we look at it, say alpha male, sigmas, or whatever it is,
Mm-hmm.
we need to understand we're supposed to protect our houses, whether your mother disagrees or not. We protect our houses because we know how men operate. We know how men think. Just like we can't detest on what y'all say. We know what another woman's person is. Because you're a woman, you know how they operate. You know how they operate. So as men, we know how men operate. At the end of the day, it's that middle pocket that we're trying to get to. Selfishness or unselfishly. As a man, you know your homeboy.
Hmm.
You know your homeboy. And it's nothing that y'all women can't tell us compared to even also when you can tell us about your homegirl.
Right.
Our children, we love y'all.
Hmm. I
But it
hope.
took a destroy my household and let my homeboy infiltrate.
And one thing I want to add to that, Mo, how can a man protect his house when you let the enemy in the front door?
That right there. Because you gave him the key.
You gave him the key. You unlocked the door instead of telling him, hey, get away from here. Now I know. I'm going to let my husband know what was going on so he can take it from there. But we're destroying not only the black families, we're destroying all families behind the decisions that a lot of these women make. And as I keep claiming in my podcast, there are a lot of fantastic women out there that wouldn't even think about doing stuff like this.
Yeah.
And you ladies that are like that, y'all keep doing what you're doing. Because God knows y'all need to start your own podcast and start telling these other ladies how it's done. Because you're destroying, you may not destroy a man physically, but you destroyed him mentally. Because what you did, he's got to live it the rest of his life. And everything behind that one situation is going to follow suit with what you did. He's going to lose trust in other women. Because in the back of his mind, he's thinking they're going to eventually be the same as you were. That's a thought. There, let me add this too. I really don't expect any negative comment on what Mo and I just said. Because right in front of you, you're seeing two men at our ages that are still in pain. And God knows, I know there are a lot more out there can understand what we have just said that haven't spoken, that still have all of that negative energy inside their mind of what occurred with them and their families. And it's a two-way street. It works both ways. Don't get me wrong. It works both ways. Bad men can go out there and do exactly the same thing. But remember, that's the one you chose. I know up front you didn't probably think that person would be ever capable of doing something like that. Just like I didn't think it was capable of my best friend, only best friend, doing something like that. But
Yeah.
that's so is life. So if you think Mo and Old School were wrong on this, let us know if you think that we're wrong. But all that negative stuff that I see sometimes after men pour their hearts out and tell you what time of day it is, we don't need that nonsense because you will never, ever change your thought process. So we don't need that. We're just trying to instill it. I guarantee there's probably thousands, if not a million other men that can testify to this video. And this is my first time ever mentioning this, and I'm really surprised. And I'm debating in my head as to whether or not I'm going to publish this. I don't know. I really don't know at this point. I
All
really
right.
don't know. Go ahead, Mo.
I'm sorry. I hate to intervene. Well, I gotta tell we gotta post it because to show this part, how can we heal if we don't show all parts?
True.
And that right there is very essential.
Hmm.
Um, Man, I gotta tell you, that's it. You gotta post it. And I'm begging you that this gotta be posted because it's just the truth on how we're gonna feel and not being selfish and bypass our heart and look at the whole logic and theologically of things to where we understand it. Got to.
Well,
There's no of us doing it if we don't.
all I can say is, ladies and gents, if you want to destroy a marriage, a family, whatever, this is how you do it. And Mo and I thank Mo for opening up. Well, Mo really is the one that got me to open up. And once the floodgates open, and hey, it pours out. It pours. And as I said, folks, I was in my teens, late teens, and I'm 70, almost 73 years old right now. And I remember it just like the same day it happened. With all that being said, I guess Mo, why don't you give them that podcast of yours, man? That's how we finish up here.
Hit up Will. You're already gonna see it on his. I'm gonna mirror his right and put it on mine to where y'all both can bounce off of it. Um, it's us coming together as an individual and community. Um, I want me to understand this and follow both of us. And if y'all got a topic, we are willing, and Will can tell me if not, we're willing to have more on a podcast, a multitude of ones, to where we have a respectful adult conversation,
Right.
or we can take this. Hopefully, we can have Angie, Jen, or whoever it is on this podcast to discuss it. Because if it's not authentic, then what it is? If the ingredients is not original and organic, then what's the purpose of eating plastic? Let's have it original. Let's have it what it is. Help us to build this, not for ourselves, but yourself alone. So I want to thank Will and thank you for we jumping back on this. I'm looking forward to it. I'm gonna bounce it offline and take it from there. I'm looking to being split screen and in person for this because
Right.
why are we here?
Yep, got to pass that wisdom down, and that's what we're trying to do.
Yeah.
And it's
Yeah.
natural.
It's
Okay.
natural.
Okay, with all that being said, I might post this one before I post that other hour and a half long one, which I think I probably post this one first. But I can't thank more enough because this is very therapeutic. I don't need to be paying $200 an hour to somebody to tell me what I already know because I'm already telling y'all what I already know, and this
Correct.
helps out. This helps out a lot. This helps out a whole lot. So with all that being said, this is old Will and Mo saying you guys stay blessed out there and keep your head above water because we're gonna all get through this.
Thank you, Will. Much love, bro.
All right, same here. Same here.